Ja. Ja. Goed.
Goed, oké, Stijn. Tot ziens.
Hello. Hello. How are you guys?
Cold.
Fine.
Fine.
Cold?
No, not here.
Oh yeah, it's crazy out there. It's very. You have to go. I had to go very carefully on a bike.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
It's really dangerous. The places where it's just a sheet of ice.
Want to drink something?
Yeah, I'll take little piece of cake here.
Okay.
Oh, hot dog. I'm eating in front of 1 million people here. Are there 1 million people here?
No.
Is there anybody?
Yeah, there's one or two.
But you don't know how many see it after all. Even after a year.
Listen, there are people come to me. I say, yeah, I follow your shoe. And
That's right. You never know where it's going to go.
no. And sometimes you forgot to week to make a tape for it. Okay.
En je Tacheles mag niet zo.
Maar goed.
Can change the world. You never know.
Toevallig werd ik Shabbos door iemand aangesproken.
Marissa Slanter said, it's worthwhile giving a share, even if just one person gets something from it. And even if the one person is yourself.
Yeah. I told before in the Hague, the rabbi from the campus, rabbi there, he said, always, if there's one person, I'm satisfied.
De Heek is kastman.
Ja, nu. Maar in de goede tijd hadden we andere
Is there a tea?
Ja.
Okay, I'll take a tea.
In de goede tijd hadden we
Just not to have a tea or something hot on such a nice cold day. It's just.
Katsman is nu.
Yeah, thank you.
Heel veel weinig van de campus. Dat is ook gaaf geweest. Nee, ook wel weinig.
Chumash. Just the normal chumash. Nothing special. I can go get one in there.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Dark enough.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a moment. Second.
Okay. Let me finish what's in my mouth.
I put it over here, you have more place.
Yeah, thank you.
Now you don't forget.
I'm not going to go far without it.
No, that.
It's very hard to ride these bikes without the batteries.
Without?
Without the battery, it's less than a normal bike. With the battery, it's faster.
Yeah.
Without the battery, it's much heavier. It
It's
doesn't.
heavier too.
It doesn't move fast. It's very difficult to ride it.
Uh-huh.
I wish it wouldn't be like that. I wish it would just be normal, and then you have the option.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like that. Okay.
Okay. You can start.
So I'll also record just in
You
case.
card for yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. Now, yeah, so we're now starting.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay,
It's fine, it's
I
fine.
see.
Yeah, no, it goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
It
good.
goes really, really fast. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're now starting Parshas Bo, and we begin here. Well, if you notice we're in the middle of the Makot here, not exactly the middle. We've done 7 so far. There have been 7 Makot, and now the final 3 are put in a different parsha. So we see the Torah kind of separates the 7 from the 3. And we see over here that starting with this Makkah, there are some changes happening. One big change here is, well, the few different changes. One is, until now, every time HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe what the Makkah is going to be, and he would say to Paro, this is what the Makkah is going to be. And here, well, Moshe tells Paro, but Hashem doesn't tell Moshe. They say it's going to be the Arba. We don't find Hashem saying, go to Paro and tell him I'm bringing the Arba. It's like Moshe here has to figure it out. But why is that? Also, we find over here that when Moshe, it says over here, he tells Paro there's going to be Arba, and if you refuse to send my nation, Arba b'gvulecha, the chisa is eina aretz, it's going to cover the land, and it's going to eat up everything. Anything that's left from the barad, it's going to eat it all up. It's going to destroy all the foliage which is sprouting from the field. And then he says, Umalu batecha, it's going to fill your houses. The arba is going to go everywhere. That we've never seen such an arba before. We've never seen such a locust before. And then it says, V'yifen v'yetze me'im paro. He turned around and he walked out. So until now, we've never had that before. Until now, Moshe Rabbeinu, he always showed respect to the kingship. And when you leave a king, you walk out backwards. It's disrespectful to turn your back on the king.
In ancient time, yes. Today, no.
Today, yeah.
Same if you have to walk, but on a Kurdish you have to walk backwards.
Where?
On a Kurdish.
Where's Kurdish?
Or in HaKodesh.
Oh, in a Kodesh, yeah.
You have
Same
also
idea.
to walk backwards.
Exactly. Or even when you walk out of a shul, the thing to do would be to walk out, turn around and,
No, not
So why all and Moshe Rabbeinu was commanded that even though he's being very warning Paro and telling Paro this, that, and asking from Paro, but to show the whole Zot, because there's a concept of Malchutra Da'ara Me'ein Malchutra Rakia. In other words, maybe the guy is a bad guy, but we have to respect the presidentship. We have to give respect to the kingship, even if this particular king is an evil guy, but the idea of Malchus is a good idea. The idea of having, right? We say pray for the welfare of governments. If there isn't a government, then everybody's going to eat each other alive. Now, there are good governments and there are bad governments, There are whatever. There are, governments that are for the people and there are governments that are against the people. That's a problem with that government. But the concept of having, rules in government is a good, we have to respect that. Okay? And there's also a mirror image of Malchus. There's the Malchus of in the land is a reflection of the Malchus in Shamayim. And so therefore, even though he was warning Paro, he was punishing the Egyptians, so on and so forth, and we're bringing the Makot. However, when he went into Paro, he showed respect. He still showed respect. He was asking for treat us correctly, let us go, whatever. But he still showed respect to Paro. All of a sudden over here, everything changes. Moshe Rabbeinu just turns his back on Paro, and it's very strange. And
it's not strange. It's
why this one? Why this one? Why did it change all of a sudden?
Because
why not all of them?
It's enough for him.
What changed on this one more? Like why not on the seventh one? Why not on the sixth one? What's different over here that changed? Also, we find
It's
The-
exactly what you want to tell us.
but why? Yeah, that's exactly what I want to tell you. What changed over here? That's why all of a sudden by the arbit. What's different? Okay. Also, it's over here for the first time that the servants we're seeing like they're a bit like not showing respect to Paro and not treating him like their master, because they're saying it very politely, but they're saying, they're saying to Paro, they're in a certain way rebelling against Paro, and they're saying, send this guy away. How much will he be for us? A mokesh. That's not the way an Eved speaks to his master. So we're beginning to see a weakening of Paro's control over his avadim as well. It's all happening here by this particular plague of locust, the arbet. And so again, let's just repeat the questions. Why over here all of a sudden is God not telling Moshe Rabbeinu? Like Moshe Rabbeinu has to figure out on his own what the plague is going to be. Why is he not showing respect to the Malchus anymore? Why are the servants of Paro beginning to, make demands from Paro as well? In other words, it seems that Paro's Malchus, his kingship, is beginning to, his grip on rulership is beginning to lessen.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And then also, V'yushav el Moshe. It's like they bring Moshe back. It's the first time that this happens. Even before the plague started, they start negotiating. Like there's negotiations going on now. Maybe let's make a ceasefire or something. Like maybe we can come to some kind of negotiation. Moshe Rabbeinu says, no, there's no place for negotiation. But Paro, all of a sudden, he's asking for negotiations. V'yushav. And it could be that, it was the servants that now they're not even listening to Paro. They're going, because who brought him back? Who went and brought him back? Could be the servants brought him back. But even Paro now is who's going? It's a bit of a negotiation now. So there's a tremendous softening over here. So what's going on over here? So, so the way, this is also the eighth plague. Arba is the eighth plague. Okay. And the Sfarim say, we always read this Parsha, Parsha Shvat.
Pesach is already.
Well, this is the Parsha.
For
This
Pesach.
is called the Parsha of Geula.
Yeah.
It's part of the Parsha of Geula. We're headed towards Pesach. Rav what's his name? Rabbi Mordechai Satorsky, he always brings that, even though right now it's not Passover, but when you read the Parsha of Passover, there's, we don't do the holiday, actually, we don't do the mitzvahs, we don't have to do Bir Chametz and everything, but in a certain sense, when we read the Parsha about Passover, we're living Passover.
Without the matzahs.
Without the matzahs, without all the mitzvahs, because we have to do it in its time, but there is an aspect of Pesach happening right now just because we're reading the Parsha of Pesach. And this is the Parsha of Geula. This is a very happy, for the Jewish people, this is a tremendous, this is the Parsha where the Geula happened, right? Now, so I'm taking from a lot of different people, from Rav Satorsky, from Rav Foreman, from a lot of different people from Sfasem. It's all one big mix. So I just naming all the names now because I want to put it all in one context. Basically, first of all, this parsha we always read in Shvat, okay, and it's brought in the Sfarim that this parsha actually happened in Shvat. It actually happened in Shvat, which is we know is when
If you started Shvat.
Shvat and Tu B'Shvat Higia. There's a machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, right? When the holiday for the trees is it on the 1st of Shvat? Is it on the 15th of Shvat? And the Arba came and ate up all the produce. So that's why it happened in Shvat. Okay, because Shvat is the beginning of growth, and they ate up all the growth. It was the destruction of the growth. Okay, the opposite of, in other words, for Paro, all the punishments were punishments for Paro and healings for the Jewish people. So if it's going to be, the crops are going to be eaten for Paro, for us, Tu B'Shvat is when the things begin, to get better, and in general, we begin to say, during Hanukkah, during Tevet, that's a month of Din. That's a month of, it's the dark days of the winter. It's the days of Din. And Rosatorsky mentioned, we have the 36 lights of Hanukkah to help us, survive, so to speak, the darkness, right? So from Kafei Kislev until Rosh Chodesh Shvat, there are 36 days. Does that make sense? I think so. I think there are 36 days. Yeah. He says there are 36 days. That's the, and so when Shvat comes in, that's the whole idea. There's a kind of lessening of the harshness of the winter. That's what they say. Now the strop is, even if it can even snow, it can even be cold, but there's still a softening because the moisture is in the trees, and there's a ripoy adin. Now, actually, it's brought in the Sfarim that the 3 last makos were the hardest makot. They were the most severe makot. And that's why they're brought separately. And actually, Arbe, for example, is Gematria Yitzchak, 208. Arbe is Gematria 208. It's the 8th Makkah, it's the 8th plague. Yitzchak, it's Gematria Yitzchak 208, which is the numerical value of the Shem, God's name, 8 times. Yitzchak is God's name 8 times. Yaakov is God's name 7 times. Yosef is God's name 6 times. Very interesting. Okay. But Yitzchak, we know, is Midas Hadin. But it's Midas Hadin here for Mitzrayim. For us, the more it's din for Mitzrayim, the more it's chesed for Am Yisrael. For us, it's like Adarabah. It's the beginning of the softening of the din, like Tu B'Shvat. So this Makkah happened in Tu B'Shvat, connected with, which connects with the idea of the tzmicha. In a certain way, in a different level, it's like this. The 10 makot correspond, a little bit of Kabbalah here. The 10 makot correspond to the 10 sfirot, which are powers that a Kadosh Baruch Hu used to create the world. Okay? Now there are 7 lower ones and 3 upper ones. The 3 upper ones are from a very hidden world. They're like, the 7 lower ones are like the body and the different characteristics that a person has. Chesed, Vura, these are like midot. The higher ones are like correspond to like the brain, the skull, the brain. That's Keser, Chachma, Bina. That has to do with wisdom, okay? With a much higher world, okay? That's what these last three makot were. And because, let's say, for example, the eighth makkah corresponds to the sphera of Bina. Bina means understanding. That's why Hashem didn't tell Moshe now what it was. Moshe Rabbeinu had to figure it out on his own what it was. Now, how did Moshe Rabbeinu figure it out on his own? How did he figure it out? What it was? So some people want to say it's like the word of Rav Shimshon Astropoli. The Astropoli. There was a very great Kabbalist named Rav Shimshon Astropoli. You ever heard of him? Okay, he was killed on Kiddush Hashem, very young, in the years of Tachvatat, in the massacres of the Tachvatat. Okay? Unfortunately, October 7th wasn't the first massacre we've had. Our history is plagued with terrible massacres. So, Rav Shimshon Astropoli, may his blood be avenged, died in the Tachvatat. I listened to a shir of Rav Gladstein, and he talked all about Shimshon HaGibor and Mashiach, and then Moshe Rabbeinu saw nitzotz of Shimshon HaGibor in Shimshon HaGibor of Mashiach, that it's because he's from the tribe of Dan, and he's like a Nachash. Nachash is Gematria Mashiach, and he was fighting the Philistines in Gaza, and it was a whole amazing shir. It's really a fascinating shir. Could I listen to from Rav this? But he mentioned that Rav Shimshon Astropoli considered himself to be a Gilgul of Shimshon HaGibor, and they have a connection because Dan is connected with a little bit with Bila, which was a continuation of this the concubine that Rachel gave from Bila that gave to Yaakov that she should have a child, and so she caused Yosef to be born, Mashiach ben Yosef, because b'schut that she gave her concubine to Yaakov, she had a child later on, so he has a connection with Mashiach ben Yosef, and Shimshon HaGibor also did, and that's why Yaakov thought maybe Shimshon HaGibor could perhaps have been Mashiach ben Yosef, and maybe he had something to do with that. And it had to do with fixing up the Shar Nun. It's the Shar Nun, where even in Mitzrayim we couldn't fix the Shar Nun, and Shimshon HaGibor was trying to even fix the Shar Nun. And in Gaza, that was the fascinating share that is connected with what's going on in Gaza now. Gaza is a place where the klipa is so big. Like in Mitzrayim, the klipa was only 49. In Gaza, it's 50. And Shimshon, all the stories of Shimshon were in Gaza. It's very interesting that it's things that are happening now are connection, yeah. But what I'm talking about this is Shimshon Astropoli felt himself to be a Gilgul of Shimshon HaGibor. Maybe that was why he was called Shimshon. He thought he was connected with this, and apparently he even said, "My early death," like he knew he was going to be killed early. "My early death will cause that the real Mashiach ben Yosef won't have to die early." That's what he said. Shimshon Astropoli. Don't know. What's interesting is 2 weeks ago, I found out that I'm a descendant of Shimshon Astropoli. I actually found out. How is that? We were looking up the yahrzeit of my father's mother, and we looked up on a website, and we discovered we didn't know her because she died very young, and we didn't really know her very well. Like my father was 5 years old when his mother died. She wasn't religious. We looked up her lineage, and we found her the date of her passing, whatever her Hebrew date. And over there it said who her father was, who her grandfather was, and it goes back to a family, it's more through her mother, a family named Gordon. Her great-grandfather is a rabbi named Gordon from a city in Lithuania, a little bit above Vilna, called Milta. And they went to America, but he went back to Israel. He didn't want to stay in America, this great-grandfather. So it's a great-grandfather of my grandmother. It writes on his grave, it's very interesting. It writes on his grave, he's buried over there with Rav Shmuel Salant and Rav Yeshua Leib Diskin, and that Chelkan Har HaZeitim. And he died in 1925. And he went back to Israel in the late 1800s. So it's the great-grandfather, I think. And through the lineage on the website, we found that his grandfather was a dayan in this city called Milta, and his grandfather already has yichus to Shimshon Astropoli. So we found out that we're related to Shimshon Astropoli. Now, what does Shimshon Astropoli say in this week's parsha? Very far away, but still, still. I'm about tshuva, so to find out I have any yichus it makes me happy. Whatever. Okay, and I have a picture of the graveyard of this great grandfather. It's fascinating. Okay, but it's fascinating. For all these years we didn't know, and then all of a sudden we discover this. But I always love Shimshon Astropoli because what the things he says is amazing. So I'm going to tell you something he says. He says, and the Chassam Sofer quotes him in this week's parsha as well. Everybody quotes him. He says, "Bo el paro." God said, "Bo el paro." So he says, what you have to do is you have to switch the pei and the ayin in paro with bo. Put the bo el paro. Take the word bo, base aleph, and put that in to paro. Yeah? And what do you get? If you switch, you take out the pei and the ayin and put it in a base and an aleph instead of a pei and an ayin, what do you get? You get arbe, locust. Bo el paro. The Torah is saying, bo el paro. Put bo into paro. Now there are other ways to do it, because Moshe Rabbeinu on his staff had all the names in the Makot. He had to figure it out. This some Sofer explains. He had to figure this out, Moshe Rabbeinu. The code. So maybe bo el paro means add it. If you add bo to paro, you get the gematria of the word nachash. So maybe it means the next makkah is going to be nachash, but he didn't have a nun on his staff, so it couldn't be nachash. He had an aleph, but he didn't. The tzach adaf ba'achav. So he had an aleph. So the only other explanation of bo el paro is to put the pei, right? And then the Chassam Sofer wants to say like this. What does it mean? Well, if you take out the pei and the ayin is 150, right? But Yaakov Avinu was 147 years old, right, when he died. And he died his last years in Egypt. And his whole life was good because of the last 17 years that he was in Egypt, kind of made his life good. So Hashem was giving a schus to Paro. You have a schus of 147 because you made the 147 years that Yaakov lived, and he was a guest in your country for till he lived to 147 years. So you have a schus of 147, right? But when the schus ran out, then he was hit with the makkah kasha of Arba, a very difficult makkah. Yeah. So that's 150 minus the bow. And it was put the bow instead. Take out the pei and the ayin and put a bow. So the difference is 147. That's 147 years of Yaakov. And that's also, you want to say that there's a way of, we have in our books, it's the Tillim's 150. He says the Tillim is 147. Okay, once he says it corresponds. And That's also like, that's what it means. I put my letters, also sai, Bekir Bo, I'll put my letters inside of him, means I'll put the bow into Paro. That's what it says over here. I'm going to plant my letters inside of him, meaning inside his name. I'm going to put the bow, El Paro. All right, so it spells Arba. What does it mean? So that's how Moshe Rabbeinu had to figure it out. Why did he have to figure it out? Because these makot were coming now from the sphere of Chachma, and Bina. Bina means you have to figure it out. So Moshe Rabbeinu had to figure it out. God didn't tell him the makkah. He had to figure it out now, because it's coming from a very high place. And that's the point. The point is that there's when these sphirot start, these sphirot are so high, it's like the light of Mashiach. It's like the time of the future. When in the time of the future, these sphirot are so high, it's like Teva stops. It's like the light of the Mashiach. And Shvat, the month of Shvat, is connected with Mashiach, because it's like the word Shevet. A Shevet is like a staff. It represents Malchus, right? Shevet v'Yisrael, it says by Mashiach. I forgot, in the brachos by Yaakov. Lo yasor Shevet mi Yehuda. The shape, right? Talking about the staff. So Shvat represents the month of Malchus, and therefore there was now the beginning of the end of the Malchus of Paro. With this Makkah, where first of all his economy was totally destroyed, was really the beginning of the end of the crumbling of the Malchus of Paro in Egypt. And why is that? That's because when the Malchus of Mashiach comes, there will be no other Malchus, because there will only be the Malchus of Hashem. So that's what actually was happening now. And that's a lesson of, like we say, the Geula, there'll be like the Yitzmach Mashiach, right? It's Semach David. Like it's a smicha. For us, the month of Shvat is the month of growth. Like just like the Mashiach begins to sprout, to grow. For them, it's the opposite of growth. Their kingdom withers, but it is eaten. But for us, it begins, right? The makkah for them is a makkah, and for us is a healing. For us, it's the beginning of the smicha. It's the malchus of Shamayim, is the destruction of their malchus. Therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have to show covenant malchus anymore.
But why is it for us an advantage if in reality we went out in Geula? Geula is such an advantage.
What do you mean?
We had to go in out of Egypt.
No.
We didn't
Ballingschap.
know- huh?
Ballingschap.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't supposed to be there for 40 years. We were supposed to go. We were supposed to be in Israel very quickly, actually. That was the plan. That was our fault, you know.
It's always our fault,
Well, we weren't ready for it.
or the fault of the bicycles in Amsterdam.
Whatever. I mean, we weren't ready for it, but that wasn't, you know, the ideal was, and we did achieve Cheres Olam because of that. You know, even if we have to go back into Galus, we are guaranteed exile because of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Now, one second, there's another thing over here about, first of all, this is connected, like we said, it's like the eighth, it was connected with Yitzchak. So until now, because it says like this, it says Laman tisaper baznei bincha. Until now, like the rabbis say, the dibor, the word was in exile. Okay, we were subjugated to Mitzrayim. Beginning with this, the kingdom of Paro is crumbling. And we're really beginning here now with this Makkah more than others to leave. So it's at this point that now we can speak. Until now, the rabbi said we couldn't speak. We were in Mitzrayim. Now, it's like this. This I heard from Satorsky. It's very amazing. He says, when you say the letter Mem, right, Shas begins with the word, an open Mem, Ematai. When do we read the Kriya Shema? That's the first word. It begins with an open Mem. And the last word of the Shas, the entire Shas, is a closed Mem. Shalom. The last word of Shas is V'yirecheh Samo b'Shalom, or Chachamim or Marbim Shalom ba'olam. Right? Shenemar, and it ends with the word Shalom. So Shas begins with an open Mem and finishes with a closed Mem. The Shas, the Talmud.
See about 3 years.
Huh?
About 3 years.
Takes 7 years.
Yes, but now we are now in the middle.
Yeah.
Baba Kama. We are
Yeah.
now in the middle.
Yeah. So I once saw the Or Gedalia, he explains, why does it begin with, you know what I'm saying, with an open Mem? There's the Mem, normal Mem, and a Mem Sofit. So the first word of Shas has an open Mem. The last word has a closed Mem. So I once saw it's like Mem represents the word mimer, a teaching, a saying, a teaching. So they want to encourage you in the beginning. In the beginning, they say, yeah, learn, go learn. You know, it's an open Mem. It's an open book. Go, you can learn it. You'll be able to do it. You'll understand. Don't worry. Don't be intimidated. I know it's big, but start doing the Daf Yomi. Do the Daf Yomi every day. Don't worry about it. You'll get it. It seems intimidating. So it's an open book. When you finish, you think you know Shas, because afterwards when you finish, you say, it's a piece of cake. It's nothing. I've done it. I know everything. No, it's a closed book. It's a closed book. You don't know nothing. You think you know something? You don't know nothing. You haven't even started. Go do it again. Yeah, that's it. So you want to say like this. When you say the word Mem, first you have to close your mouth. And then you kind of go, Mem, and you open your mouth, and then you close it again. Mem, right? So Rav Satorsky said like this. That's what it's trying to tell you. That when you open your mouth, you should only open your mouth to learn Shas, to speak Shas. And then close it. Don't say Shtuyot. Don't speak Shtuyot. Right?
Nonsense.
Yeah. Mitzrayim, right? Mitzrayim is the opposite. We were taken out of Mitzrayim to get the Torah. That we can open up our mouth, right? But in Mitzrayim, our mouths were in gullus. Mitzrayim also has a mem in the beginning and a mem at the end. But what's in the middle? The Yetzer. The Yetzer Hara. Mitzrayim is the Yetzer Hara is in the middle. You open up your mouth, you speak nonsense. You speak shtuyot. You should better close your mouth. Because if the Yetzer Hara is affecting your mouth, you're going to speak Lashon Hara. You're going to speak all sorts of terrible things. Bad words, right? What was the name of Paro? Ra. He had a bad mouth. He was a bad mouth. That was the name of the king, Mr. Badmouth. He should have just shut his mouth, right? So that's why the Dibur was in Gullus. As long as we were in Mitzrayim, the Dibur was in Gullus, right? So now we're leaving Mitzrayim, right? And now with this Makkah, where we're freeing ourselves from the influence of Paro, and we're changing Paro's name, right? We're taking out the right? We're taking out the Pera because we're putting in Bo, and we're bringing the Arba, right? By the way, there's a pasuk that says the Arba doesn't have a king. Arba, that's the whole idea of the Arba. There's no rulership. It's just everybody. It's like a free for all. It's like the opposite of Malchus, the Arba. Ein melech la Arba. That's and Paro says, just I once heard this from Moshe Shapiro. Take this mavis away, like anarchy, total anarchy. That's the Arba represent. A world without a malchus, without any malchus whatsoever. It was interesting. When Paro's malchus is breaking apart, he brings Arba to show what it means. So that's why now all of a sudden, where there's a weakening of Mitzrayim, and the Jewish people are beginning to become redeemed, and Hashem is putting his osos, he's putting his boel paro, and bringing the arba, which is a bit now also we have what to say because we're getting the chachma, right? We're beginning to have the midas of chachma. We have what to say. We're getting our mouth back. So it says the man tisaper bozne bincha. Now you can tell the story to your children. Now you can speak. You know what to speak. Now you can learn Shas, right? Leaving Mitzrayim and getting Shas. It was a softening of the rulership of Paro, the beginning of Smichas, Namamash Mashiach, and the two, right? It's also the time in Shvat we begin the Shovavim. It's a return. Even Paro is doing tshuva here. Even Paro is beginning to do tshuva here. He says, I sinned, and pray for me too. Even though he said before I sinned, but here he's saying I sinned, also pray for me. Even Paro is beginning to do tshuva, the highest level. Because this is the period of time of Shovavim.
Pray to whom?
Huh?
Pray
No, he asks, bring sacrifices for me too. He asks the Jewish people, also for me. So this is also the period of time where we do shovavim to fix, because this is the period of time where we get there's two covenants: the covenant of the mouth and the covenant of the Brit Milah. And this is the period of time where we fix that too, starting in Shvat, where we begin Shmot, and we begin always now in this period of time the Shovavim Tat. Shovavim means to return.
Did we start the covenant with Abraham?
Yes, but meaning we begin to, for the Jewish people, we every year, because the parshas of Shmot and all the galus was to fix up that which was damaged with the Brit Milah. So here we're fixing up the Brit HaLashon, right? Which we're now able to speak because we said the Dibor was in exile, but now we're able to speak. That's what. So now all of a sudden the Torah says, in order that you can tell your children, because now you can speak. You can speak. Until now we couldn't speak. We were in Mitzrayim. Our mouths were trapped by the Yetzer under the domain of Paro. But now the domain of Paro is weakening in its Boel Paro through the Arbe, which is right. Through the Arbe, which again is the 8th Makkah, right? Which is the lessening of the din and the beginning of Mashiach, which is this period of time of these great lights coming into the world, right? Right. Then we have the ability to speak, and also eight times, right? It's the 8th Makkah. 8 times Shem Havaya is Gematria Yitzchak. Arba is Gematria Yitzchak. Mitzchak was the first person to have the Bris Milah. We begin doing the Shovavim Tat. We begin fixing the Brit Milah. We get our mouth back. We're able to tell the story to our children, and we are we're also fixing the Bris Milah, the Shovavim Tat. Yeah. So, yeah. he has a hint over here. The Chassam Sofer, he says they're all hinted to. All the other makot are also hinted to over here. By the way, talking about fixing up the mouth, there's a question. The frogs, they jumped into the fire, and they did a great Kiddush Hashem. They were willing to throw themselves into the fire for the plague, to do the plague. They went into the ovens, right, with the command of Hashem. So they right. Do we find that they got to reward the frogs? The dogs, they didn't bark by Makas Bechoros. They got a reward that we give them the nevela for being silent on that night, right? There was a lot of crying. Now, usually when people scream, dogs start howling. But God said to the dogs, be quiet, don't howl, so that people will see this is a supernatural night. And as a reward, the Torah gave the nevela to the dogs. That's what the Chazal said. They got the nevela as a reward for being silent on the night of Makas Bechoros. So why did the dogs get a reward and the frogs not? The frogs were even Moser Nefesh. They were willing to jump in the fire. So I heard from Rav Gladstein, he said, from here we see that it's more difficult to shut your mouth. For some people, it's a bigger Mesiras Nefesh to be able to shut their mouth and not speak shtuyot, and not, to be quiet when you feel like talking is more difficult than jumping in a fire for some people. What else did I want to say here? Okay, so basically, what we're saying over here is that we said it. I think we said it all. Okay, that in this Makkah began the last three Makkot was really a complete game changer, where this was like bringing the final redemption. This is like the Or of the Mashiach. It was like bringing the Malchus of Hashem into the world, and therefore there was a weakening of Paro's Malchus, strengthening of the covenants with the Jewish people, a healing for the Jewish people. Our mouths were healed. That's why it's called Pesach all of a sudden, right? We were under a evil king called Paro, which is Pera. We could not speak, but now with the beginning of the end, the final redemption, with the last three Makos, the final redemption, the great lights of the last three Sfirot coming in the world, which is really a time of Mashiach, will be like that. That's why now we only have the 7 nations, the pre-Ziva, right? But in the future, we're going to have 10. And the reason is because, I don't know where they are exactly, doesn't matter, but maybe where the Houthis are, I don't know. Whatever it's going to be. And Bezrat Hashem, we're going to see also great Yeshuos, because like the Niflos that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did in Mitzrayim, Hashem promises He's going to do for us, Bezrat Hashem, and we will also be redeemed. Bezrat Hashem, we will be taken out of the Beis Havadim, and we will also be Zocha to these great lights and to these great salvations, Bezrat Hashem, B'Karov, and we'll be able to have, there won't be anybody left behind. Everybody's going to be fixed, and we're all going to have our covenants fixed, Bezrat Hashem, and we'll be Zocha to Agula ad Olam, Bezrat Hashem.
Amen. Shkoyach. Okay, I have a new date for you. If you like to come, what was it? 21 of February. It is 12 Dar Rishon.
The 21 of February.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Why not?
Write it down.
Why not?
Why not what?
Why not? It's
why not? Oh.
Yeah. It's is that like 6 weeks? It's like 5 weeks.
No, it's 5 weeks.
Okay.
The first 5 weeks.
All right.
It's a
All right.
bit,
All right. A little bit of Lo Sigra.
Okay.
Parshas.
Goed. Hierbij. Your Shabbos is a special Shabbos. Yortzeit of the Rebbe.
Oh, really? The Rebbe was born,
Yes, we have
the Rebbe was Nifter on Parshas Bo?
I think so. 10 Shvat. 10 Shvat. We have a big event. Guest speaker from London, and I don't know. Okay.
When is he speaking on Shabbat morning?
Speaking Friday evening and Shabbos morning. Speaking.
I heard there's like a kumsis on the night.
Kumsitz Friday evening. Friday evening.
I think I'll take this back with me.
Okay,
Because
take
in the cold I have milk. Here I don't have milk.
Okay. Kumsitz and I don't know everything. But Friday evening I have to go again to Amstelveen.
Throw it away.
Friday evening I have to walk far. I have to go to Amstelveen. So Friday evening I'm not. Je moest toch naar de dokter? Is dat niet?
Ik heb afgezegd.
Waar?
Ja, de dokter.
Waarom?
Omdat ik dit belangrijk vind.
Nou, oké. Is de dokter niet zo belangrijk?
Die komt wel.
Nou, goed
I
zo.
was just in America this week. I just
Ja, I know. I have heard.
So there was a volcano in Iceland. I had to stop in Iceland.
Yeah.
I got a message, your flight might be delayed because of a volcano.